We started as stars scattered on opposite skies, drifting quietly through lives never meant to meet. A comment, a view, a spark sent from one side of a screen to the other. And somehow, that small flicker found its way into our worlds. I watched your laughter light up pixels, your voice falling through speakers like soft rain. And I felt something strange, not obsession, not fantasy, but curiosity wrapped in something honest. The kind of curiosity that makes you watch a video twice, then 3 times. Not for the content, but to trace the curve of someone's smile. Love didn't knock loudly, it whispered through algorithms and timing, echoing between recommended views and messages typed late at night. And we, both afraid of illusions, tried not to name it. We kept things safe, emojis, inside jokes, promises like butterflies too nervous to land. But love, as it often does, didn't wait for permission. It grew in the cracks. It unfolded between uploads and silence, between buffering moments and heartfelt replies. I realized then, this wasn't just the internet doing what it does. This was something real. This was something becoming. At first, I didn't want to believe it. How could love grow through glass, through screens and static, across cities and time zones? But then you spoke to me, not to the world, not to an audience, but to me, and it hit differently. There was honesty in your words that made everything else seem hollow. I felt seen, as if my heart had suddenly found a mirror, and in it was your reflection, soft and steady. The world outside grew quieter with each conversation. Time blurred. You'd say something simple like "be safe," and it would echo through my ribs like a prayer. You weren't a stranger behind a lens anymore. You became the place my thoughts ran to when everything else fell apart. And I knew this wasn't infatuation. This was the kind of love that writes itself in pauses, that waits in comment sections, like flowers between cracks in concrete. We weren't chasing views. We were discovering each other, slowly, fearfully, beautifully. What began as admiration became affection, then something deeper, something with weight, something I couldn't turn away from even if I tried. I remember the moment I knew for certain. It wasn't a grand declaration or a perfect line. It was a quiet night, your voice barely above a whisper, saying something mundane like, "I think I might take a break from posting." And suddenly the thought of silence, of not hearing you for days, ached like loss. That was the moment. The absence made everything clear. My heart had quietly packed its bags and moved closer to you without telling me. I had become addicted to your presence, but not the way people obsess over celebrities or content creators. I had grown attached to the parts of you you didn't share with the world. The unfiltered thoughts, the late night doubts, the silly fears, the soft hopes. That's what I fell in love with. The you behind the camera. The you who texted me about dreams and asked me what music I cried to. And I knew, no matter how far apart we were, this love was rooted in something unshakable. Something algorithms couldn't fabricate. It was real. We were real, even if no one else could see it. Sometimes I wonder if people would believe our story. They always assume love has to bloom in proximity, in physical closeness, in shared air. But what we built, it defied that. Our love grew in digital soil, watered by intention and nurtured by word. We didn't have dates in coffee shops or walks under streetlights, but we had 3 a.m. calls and playlists made for each other. We had digital touches, the kind that feel like fingerprints, left on a heart, even if no one else can see them. And yet, there were still fears. Could this survive beyond the screen? Would it fade once we met reality face to face? Those questions kept me up at night, not because I doubted you, but because I was terrified of losing what we had to the weight of the physical world. But every time I closed my eyes and pictured you, I didn't see a screen. I saw safety. I saw a home I hadn't known I was searching for. And I held on to that, to the way your words made me feel like I belonged somewhere. For the first time, you taught me patience in a world that rushes everything, that demands immediacy and gratification. We learned to wait. We learned that love doesn't need to sprint to be strong. We watched each other grow, inch by inch, like vines twisting toward the light. Some nights we said too little, others we said too much. But in all of it, there was trust. There was faith that the pauses didn't mean endings. You never rushed me. You never asked me to be anything other than what I was. You gave me the freedom to unfold, to speak without performing, to exist without masks. And in return I wanted to be honest with you in every way. I wanted you to see the parts of me even I was afraid to look at. That's what love became for us. Not fireworks or fairy tales, but the quiet revolution of being fully known, of letting someone walk through your mind and heart without hiding the mess. You stayed, and that's when I knew this love could survive anything. Eventually the day came. We met, no filters, no screens, just breath and heartbeat and eye contact. And it was everything and nothing like I imagined. You were real, more real than I thought possible. The first hug felt like an answer to every unspoken question. And there was silence, not awkward, but sacred, like both our souls were exhaling. We didn't need to say much. Our bodies already knew what our hearts had been practicing. Every smile, every glance, felt like reading a book you already knew the ending to, but still loving every word. I remember thinking, this is it. This is what love became. It wasn't about perfection. It was about truth. We were flawed. We were scared. But we were present. Fully. Finally. And the distance that had once seemed endless melted away in your touch. Suddenly, everything made sense. The months of waiting, the risks, the vulnerability. It all brought us here. And here was beautiful. Here was worth it. All the doubts, all the fears, dissolved the moment you said my name out loud. Still, not every day is easy. Love, even the truest kind, doesn't make life perfect. We fight, we misunderstand, we forget to communicate sometimes. But even in those moments, I never doubt you, I never doubt us. Because at the core, we're anchored in something deeper than romance. We're rooted in choice. Every day you choose me, not because it's easy, not because it's effortless, but because we've built something worth fighting for. And I do the same. I choose you, again and again, through every storm and silence. We don't run, we don't ghost, we lean in. We ask the hard questions, we apologize, we grow. And that to me is more romantic than any scripted fairy tale. That's what love became. Not just butterflies, but resilience. Not just infatuation, but devotion. The kind that stays, the kind that evolves, the kind that knows the value of what's been built and protects it with tenderness. And I know now, no matter what this world throws at us, we're not alone. We're a team, a truth, a quiet kind of miracle. And love didn't just transform us, it transformed how we see the world. Suddenly, sunsets looked different because I imagined you beside me. Songs hit harder because they carried your voice. Even loneliness changed shape, becoming less of an ache and more of a space where your memory could sit with me. You gave everything depth. You painted my ordinary with colors I didn't know I could feel. Even the hard days had purpose. Because loving you gave my life a through line. Something constant, something sacred. You reminded me how vast connection could be. That even through pixels and paragraphs, we could build something lasting, something holy. Love became the lens through which I saw hope again. You were never just a person on a screen. You were, and are, my lighthouse, guiding me home on nights when the world feels too loud. You see me, you always have, and in a universe that's always rushing, always demanding, you make me feel like I have all the time in the world, like there's no place I need to be, except wherever you are. So here we are, still learning, still loving, and sometimes I pause and marvel at what we've become, at what love became. It began with pixels, and now lives in every fiber of who I am. You're in my routines, my dreams, my quiet moments. And not because I need you to complete me, but because you amplify me. You reflect back the parts I'd buried. You remind me of who I'm becoming. And I do the same for you. That's the beauty of this love. It doesn't possess, it uplifts, it doesn't demand, it invites. It's not perfect, but it's true, and truth is more than enough. I wouldn't trade this story for any easier one. I wouldn't erase the waiting, the longing, the doubts, because they led me to you.